I never thought I'd be the guy writing something like this, but here I am. My name is Mike, and I'm just trying to get this off my chest, maybe get some advice from people who have been through the same hell. My marriage with Emily was supposed to be perfect. We met in college, hit it off right away, and for years everything seemed smooth. She was beautiful, funny, smart, the kind of girl everyone admired, and I thought I'd hit the jackpot. We got married 5 years ago, and honestly, I thought we had a solid future ahead of us. But somewhere along the way, I started noticing small things. Emily became a little more distant, less interested in sex, not as affectionate. She'd say she was tired, stressed at work, or just needed space. I figured it was normal life stuff. Maybe she was overwhelmed. Still, I'd catch her on her phone more often, hiding it when I entered the room, deleting messages, and that weird look she'd give me sometimes, like she was caught doing something she shouldn't. But I pushed those thoughts aside. I didn't want to believe my wife, who I loved so much, could be hiding something this big. One night, I was lying in bed scrolling through my own messages, just killing time, when I saw her phone light up with a notification. I didn't think much of it at first, but then I saw a message from a number I didn't recognize. It was a text conversation, and what I read made my blood run cold. It was her, talking dirty, talking about sleeping with someone else. Not just once, not just a flirty message here and there, but detailed, explicit talk, and the guy was someone I knew, my best friend, Jason. I couldn't believe it. My mind just refused to accept it at first. I stared at the screen, reread those messages, and everything suddenly made this sick, twisted sense. I couldn't breathe. The room felt like it was closing in on me. My knees buckled a little, and I stared at those messages for what felt like forever. I couldn't believe Emily, who always acted so perfect, was doing this behind my back. Worse, I found out she's pregnant now. That's right, she's carrying Jason's kid. I don't even know how to process that. For years I thought we were happy, that she loved me, that we had a real future. And all this time she was sleeping with my best friend, lying to me every step of the way. I felt like my entire world had shattered in an instant. The next morning I woke up feeling numb, like I was walking through a fog that refused to lift. I couldn't sleep after what I saw. My mind kept replaying the messages over and over, as if I could find some sort of meaning or explanation in them. I kept telling myself I must have misread something, that maybe it was a misunderstanding, but deep down I knew the truth. There was no mistake. Emily had been lying to me for months, maybe longer. She was sleeping with Jason, my best friend, and she was pregnant with his child. I didn't want to believe it at first. I kept telling myself maybe it was just a prank, a joke she was trying to hide from me. Yeah, right. But I knew better. I knew her. Emily's the type who'd go to any length to hide her lies, and this was on a whole different level. I had to see her, confront her face to face, so I did. I called her at work. Her number was saved under her name, but I'd never suspected her of lying like this before. When she answered, her voice was annoyed, like I was bothering her at the worst possible time. "Emily, I need to talk to you," I said, trying to keep my voice steady, but it cracked a little. "Can you come home for a second?" She hesitated for a beat, then snapped back. "What's so urgent? I'm busy." "Just come home," I said, voice low and firm. "It's important." When she arrived, her makeup was perfect, her hair styled like she was going to a party. She looked at me with that bitchy, dismissive expression she always wore when she didn't want to face reality. I laid her phone on the table and showed her the messages. Her eyes flicked from the screen to my face, and I swear I saw her flicker with a mix of annoyance and guilt, but she quickly masked it. "Oh, come on, Mike," she said, rolling her eyes. "This is just some stupid joke. You're overreacting. Jason's just a friend, okay? We're not sleeping together. I don't know what you saw, but you're mistaken." Mistaken? My blood boiled. I looked at her, hurt and furious at the same time. "You're pregnant, Emily. I know it's Jason." I saw the texts. All those late nights, the secret calls, the messages, it was all there. "How could you lie to me? How long has this been going on?" She scoffed, crossing her arms. "Look, I was stressed, okay? Things with Jason, they just happened. It's not what you think. I didn't plan for this, I swear. I don't want to hurt you, but I can't keep pretending everything's perfect when it's not." That was the moment I realized the kind of person she really was. She was someone who could lie with a straight face, who could betray me and then act like the victim. I felt a surge of rage, heartbreak, and betrayal all at once. I wanted to scream, to shout, to break something. But instead, I stood there, silent, trying to process everything. The woman I loved, the woman I trusted, she was lying, cheating, and now she was pregnant with another man's child. And I had no idea how to even begin to deal with it. After she left the house that day, I thought I'd feel better, like I'd get some clarity, but nothing changed. Instead, everything just got worse. I kept replaying her words, her lies, and I couldn't shake the feeling of being completely blindsided. How could I have missed all of this? How did she manage to hide it so well? I needed answers, but I also knew I had to come up with a plan. I couldn't just let her walk away from this, not without getting some kind of justice. I started digging through her stuff secretly. Her emails, her social media, anything I could find. I needed proof, real proof, to confront her again, or maybe to just make her admit everything. I found more than I bargained for. There were photos, texts, even some pictures she didn't know I saw. She was sleeping with Jason regularly, and she was proud of it. The messages were filled with her bitchy attitude, how she was tired of pretending with me, how she loved the excitement with Jason. She even called herself the wife who's got it all at my expense. The realization that she was enjoying this affair, that she was actively lying and cheating, made my stomach turn. But what hit me hardest was the fact that she was pregnant. I mean, I knew she was pregnant. She told me she was a few weeks ago, trying to keep it from me. She said she'd thought about it and needed some time to tell me. But she never did. Instead, she went behind my back, kept sleeping with Jason, and let me believe I was the only one. I felt sick just thinking about how long she'd been carrying Jason's baby, how she'd planned to keep this from me forever. I decided I had to do something. I couldn't let her get away with this. I started to plan my next move, and it was going to be cold, calculated, and precise. I knew I couldn't confront her again right away. She'd just lie her way out of it, pretend she didn't do anything wrong. No, I had to gather my evidence, figure out what I wanted to do, and make her face the consequences of her lies. I was furious, but I also felt devastated. I loved her, or at least I thought I did. Now I wasn't so sure anymore. All I knew was my life was about to change forever, and I had to be ready for what came next. Over the next few days, I kept my cool on the surface, but inside I was a mess. Every time I saw her, I felt this mixture of rage and heartbreak that was almost unbearable. I couldn't believe she was capable of this level of deception, of lying to my face for so long, and yet she still had the nerve to act like she was the victim. The more I thought about it, the more I realized I had to do something drastic. I couldn't just walk away and pretend none of this had happened. I needed to make her understand that she'd crossed a line, one she'd never come back from. I decided the best way to do that was to hit her where it hurt, her pride, her lies, and her sense of security. First, I confronted her again, but this time, I wasn't going to listen to her bullshit excuses. I laid out the evidence I'd collected, the messages, the pictures, the fact that she was pregnant with Jason's kid. Her reaction was nothing short of infuriating. She rolled her eyes, scoffing and acting like I was overreacting. She called me paranoid, jealous, and even accused me of spying on her because I didn't trust her. I could see her trying to spin everything, trying to make me feel guilty for catching her. But I wasn't about to buy her crap anymore. I told her I wanted her out of the house. She could take her lies and her baby and leave. She started crying, acting all innocent, saying I was blowing things out of proportion, that she loved me and that Jason was just a mistake. Yeah, right, I saw right through her. I knew she was trying to manipulate me again, but I wasn't falling for it. She lied enough. The worst part was she kept insisting she'd change, that she'd never do it again, but I knew better. I could see the truth in her eyes. She didn't care. She was only sorry she got caught. That night I couldn't sleep. Instead, I sat alone in the dark, staring at the ceiling, going over everything I'd learned. The betrayal was so deep that I started questioning everything. My marriage, my friendship with Jason, even myself. How had I missed all this? Was I just blind? Or was I fooling myself into thinking we had something real? I felt so lost, so betrayed, that I wondered if I'd ever recover from this. I kept asking myself, What do you do when the woman you love turns out to be a lying, cheating bitch and she's carrying your best friend's baby? It felt like I was at the bottom of a pit with no way out. The days that followed were the worst of my life. I knew I couldn't stay in that house with her anymore, not after everything. I packed a bag, told her she had to leave, and that I needed some time to think. She threw a fit, of course, yelling, crying, accusing me of ruining her life, trying to guilt-trip me into letting her stay. But I was done. I couldn't even look at her without feeling sick. Every time she opened her mouth, I saw the lies, the betrayal, the arrogance in her attitude. She acted like she was the victim, like I was the one overreacting. But I was. I knew the truth now, and I couldn't unsee it. I decided I needed to get away, clear my head, and figure out what I was going to do next. I rented a small apartment nearby, just so I could breathe and think without her constant presence. As I sat alone in that empty place, I felt the full weight of what had happened settle over me. I was angry at her, yes, but mostly I was heartbroken. I'd loved Emily, I'd trusted her, and she had thrown it all away for some affair, for some stupid, reckless fling. And now she was carrying his child. I kept going over that fact in my mind over and over. It was like a punch to the stomach every time. In those quiet moments, I started to realize something. This wasn't just about the cheating, it was about me, about learning how to move on from someone I thought I knew. I kept asking myself if I wanted to fight for this marriage or just let it go. Honestly, every ounce of me wanted to lash out, to make her suffer the way she made me suffer. But I knew that wouldn't fix anything. So I made a decision. I was going to get full custody of the child, confront Jason, and make sure Emily paid for what she did. Not just in words, but in actions. I wasn't going to let her get away with destroying my life, not without consequences. The worst part was realizing how easily she'd lied to me, how she'd managed to keep this secret for so long. The trust I had in her was completely shattered. I was starting to accept that I'd never be able to trust her again. The love I once had for her was turning into something colder, something I didn't recognize anymore. But I also knew I had to stay strong, for myself and maybe for the child she was carrying. I didn't know what the future held, but I knew one thing. I wasn't going to be the fool who got played for years. I was angry, wounded, but also determined. And I'd find a way to make this right, no matter how much it hurt. In the end, I did what I knew I had to do. I filed for divorce, sought full custody of the baby, and made sure Emily understood that her lies had consequences. It wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about reclaiming my dignity and moving forward from the wreckage she left behind. I confronted Jason too, though I kept that mostly to myself. Some battles aren't worth fighting with fists or words. I just wanted him to know I wasn't blind, that I had all the proof, and that he'd betrayed me as well. Living through this hell has changed me in ways I never expected. I used to trust blindly, believe in fairy tale endings, and think love could conquer everything. Now I see it differently. Love isn't enough if it's built on lies. Trust has to be earned, and sometimes people are just not who they seem. Emily's betrayal has left scars, but it's also made me realize I need to rebuild myself, to focus on what truly matters, my own well-being, my future, and that innocent child she's carrying. Looking back, I've learned some harsh truths. Never ignore the small signs, because they're often the warning signs of something much worse. Pay attention to the way your partner acts, the subtle shifts in behavior, the secretive phone calls, the late nights. And if you find yourself in a situation like mine, don't be afraid to stand up for yourself. The pain might never fully go away, but you can decide to take control of your life again. I've come to accept that I'll be okay. The betrayal still stings, but I'm stronger now. I'll rebuild, and someday, I hope I'll find someone who truly values honesty, loyalty, and love, not these broken promises and lies. I hope my story serves as a warning, a lesson that no one should ever tolerate being betrayed and lied to for years. Trust your instincts. If something feels off, don't ignore it. Because sometimes the truth is uglier than anything you could imagine. And when it finally comes out, it can shatter your world, but you have to pick up the pieces and find a way to move on.